Rick, Aldana, thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you giving back to Shackley and sharing it with all the people who are on the line and maybe are listening to Shackley for the very first time. So, guys, I'm just gonna turn it over to you.
Roger, thank you so much. We're delighted to be doing this tonight because it's such an extraordinary company and extraordinary opportunity that we always get excited about sharing it. And we're going to start off with a very brief version of our stories, and I want Aldana to lead off with that.
I too, Kathy and Roger, thank you so much. And Roger, that was quite an introduction. Thank you. So I'll start with a little bit of my story. I escaped with my parents and sister from the Eastern Front during World War II. We walked from Lithuania across Poland to Germany and then spent 7 years in a refugee camp where there's a little shot of that up there. Through a whole series of miracles, we ended up in the American sector and were able to emigrate to the U.S. on an Army troop ship in 1950. My parents told me as we passed the Statue of Liberty, in this country, you will be able to become all that you choose to be. We came through Ellis Island with no language, no money, and one suitcase filled with care packages. We were put on a train to a farm in Rochester, New York. But as I went through school and got my degree, I was told that I could only do what my degree said I could do. I allowed other people to steal my dreams. I worked in middle management and ended up with a job at the Fun Brown Civic Center in Huntsville, Alabama, where I met Rick. And as I met him, he was at the Space Center in Huntsville during the Skylab project, and we were married in '74. Both of us had really big dreams, but no idea how to get there.
You know, my story isn't that unique. I grew up in a sort of a lower middle class family. We never had a lot, but we never were hungry either. And my working life, I started out as a cowboy on the Highlands Ranch. I went to the University of Colorado, and I got a degree in applied mathematics. Didn't really know what to do with that, and I ended up being a rocket scientist with the Martin Marietta Company in the early days of the space program. I started it right at the end of the Apollo missions. I worked on Skylab, the first space station that we ever built, the Viking lander on Mars. The manned maneuvering unit, that jet-propelled backpack that they fly around in, I was on the design team for that. And the first time we ever retrieved an alien satellite in space and repaired it in space, I participated in that program. But again, all that led me to Huntsville, the Space Center, where I met Aldana.
And like so many people, we were introduced to Shackley through a chance conversation. I had just moved to Colorado to be with Rick. At a luncheon, I mentioned how disappointed I was about the pollution in the creek across the road from us. One of the guys that was there asked what we were doing about it. Actually, he was quite confrontational. I don't encourage that. But I did invite him up to our home to tell us about the biodegradable cleaners.
Now, at that point in time, you can see what we look like, and maybe the first question you got to ask yourself is, would you have actually sponsored that clown in that picture? But we were living in a 600-square-foot shack that as you walked around, you would pass no less than 7 different colors and kinds of siding that have been slapped on over the years. We both had great jobs, but we're not in a good place financially because of previous divorces. And the consequence of that was that we really were desperate to change our lives. And when this guy came up to tell us about biodegradable cleaners, he didn't just tell us about biodegradable cleaners. And the consequence of that was he started talking about nutrition. I didn't know anything about nutrition. I didn't care about nutrition. And I really didn't believe most of what he said. But then he started talking about the business. And once he laid out the opportunity and the business model, I understood it immediately, and I decided right then it was my way out of corporate America. And it has changed our lives in pretty dramatic ways.
You know, it said in the introduction that I enthusiastically joined him. Unfortunately, I have to admit, I did not want anything to do with the business because my degree, my piece of paper, didn't say I could build a business. But the side effect was that I was so excited about the products, and I ended up being the first one to actually share them and the first one to actually sponsor people. And I was shocked that I actually got a $4 bonus check. So, oh my, I had to learn about the business. We started our business in that shack because we couldn't afford the gas to drive to town or to take someone out for coffee. So we would invite people to the shack to tell them about Shackley. We would put the lady in the one tattered vinyl chair. The husband and Rick and I would sit on the worn-out carpet. And Rick, who had a passion and a vision for this business, would tell them how success.
Where we were going to be. And the fascinating part is, sitting in that ratty shack, they believed us. And I think they believed us because we believed it. And as a consequence, we turned that into a 3,000 square foot passively heated solar home. We had an 18-foot cathedral ceiling in a living room that was bigger than the original house. And it's given us the opportunity to do some pretty extraordinary things. And for the last 41 years, Shackley has changed our lifestyle. We've had an effect on thousands of lives. I was able to fire my boss 31 years ago. We've had a six-figure income for the last 31 years. We've had 14 bonus cars and 60 luxury trips around the world paid for by Shackley. But what I wanted more than anything was freedom, and boy, has Shackley given that to us. But tonight isn't about us. It's about you folks that are on this call. Because I think the question we all have to answer at some point in time is, are where we want to be in our lives? And if the answer is no, we need to take a serious look as to what we might want to change. How do you currently feel about your health and fitness level? Are there choices you could make differently that could improve that dramatically? Is your work and your family life in balance? You know, it fascinates me how many people I see who are working themselves to death to support their families, but they're working so hard they have no time to spend with their family, and they sacrifice their family in the process. That is not the kind of future that I wanted. And you also have to recognize that quite often we give up on the dreams that we have and the kind of lifestyle that we thought we could achieve when we were younger. But it doesn't have to be that way. Because what if you could have that kind of rewarding lifestyle? You could have the extra finances, money to do the things and support the causes that you want to support. If somebody gave you the opportunity for luxury travel, and, you know, I used to ask people if they got a paid vacation, and gosh, when I was an aerospace engineer, I got 3 weeks of paid vacation. What I meant was they let me take 3 weeks off and they still paid my salary. But in Shackley, guess what? They actually pay for your vacation. That's pretty crazy when you think about it. But I think the reality for all of us is, once you understand this amazing business model, the idea that we can just share this just one person at a time and make a difference in other people's lives, all of that adds up to something very significant over a piece of time. But you have to recognize that what drives this whole business, why the business model works, is because of the extraordinary products that support this business. And whether you choose to experience the products and the benefits that many, many of us have seen over the years, whether you choose to share those products with the people that you care about and maybe even earn enough back in a bonus to pay for your own products, or whether you want to make a career change like I did, there are lots of options out there. But recognize we function in a marketplace that is huge and continues to grow. When you look at all the market segments that Shackley participates in, you will recognize that it's not something that's going to go away anytime in our lifetime. And I think that's significant because so often people will get involved in a business that at some point in time becomes outmoded and outdated. I mean, it wouldn't do to be the best manufacturer of cassette tapes or even CDs or DVDs today, knowing that technology is leaving all that behind. And yet every one of these market segments you're going to find will continue to grow through my generation and probably the next several generations. But I think the most important thing is that this company and the vision of where this company is going is built on trust. We've got 100 years of innovation behind us, 100 years, and we're the number one natural nutrition company in the U.S. Dr. Shackley founded this and created the first multivitamin in this country 100 years ago. Roger Barnett, our owner and CEO, is an amazing visionary in and of himself and has done extraordinary things in the 10 years that he has owned this company. But I want you to recognize that that kind of stability and that kind of solidity is very, very rare. But again, what drives it is the quality of the product, the real Shackley difference. We say that a lot, and a lot of people who have never been exposed to Shaklee say, well, everybody says that kind of stuff. But there really is a difference. We do over 100,000 quality control tests per year on our products to assure that they're always safe, they're always green, they always work. There aren't any other companies that do that. We have spent over $250 million on research and development. We have over 100 scientific publications in peer-reviewed medical journals. Do you realize how difficult it is to accomplish that, much less to have over 100 published scientific studies? That's extraordinary. When you look at the purity, the potency, and the performance of these products, it's unlike anything else in the marketplace. As an example, we do 350 tests on every new botanical ingredient to test for pesticides and residues and any other kind of contamination. Today everybody is all over the whole organic movement, and rightfully so, because those products are much healthier than a lot of the man-made or manufactured foods that are out there. But even when farmers meet the standards of no pesticides, no herbicides, no chemical fertilizers, they have no control over the pollution in the water they might irrigate their crops with, over air pollution that might land on their crops. Shaklee makes sure that none of those kind of contaminants are even in things that we start with that are organic. We've done over $300 million in research and development, and when you look at the people who use these products, who could use anything they want on the planet, Shaklee athletes, Olympic athletes, have 121 medals, and half of those are gold medals. They perform, and the products perform for them.
And to me, the bottom line is that I was able to really depend on these products for my family, my children, my daughter who took them during her pregnancy, and have the most beautiful granddaughters and the brightest in the world because they were on Shaklee before they were born. So the trust factor after taking these products for 42 years, it is totally priceless.
So I have to tell you that Shaklee difference is real. It makes a huge difference, and people's lives are changed in very significant and very, very dramatic ways. But the upshot of that is that when you look at the science and the research that is behind these products, Shaklee Corporation was involved in what is today called the Landmark Study. The UC Berkeley School of Public Health has been studying the health status of people who take supplements and people who don't for years. And when they had a group of Shaklee people who have used Shaklee supplements for 20 years or more, what they found was that the long-term Shaklee users clearly demonstrated lower levels of some of the most important heart health markers, biomarkers, compared to any non-supplement user. The difference was dramatic, not small percentages, but very significant percentages. When you look at the fact that all of that research and all of that science has come together in a product line that includes things like the Life Plan, which has 35 patents or patents pending on it. When you look at products like our Vivix that has an amazing number of studies being done on it. Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn, who won the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 2009 for her discovery of telomeres, she recognizes that the length of a telomere as it shortens encourages our cells to age faster than they should or normally would. And it turns out that Shaklee users who have used Vivix for 5 years, they look statistically that an 80-year-old Shaklee user would have the same telomere length as a 41-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. That's extraordinary when you look at those kinds of differences. And when you look at all the different products that are in the Shaklee line, focused around managing our weight effectively or losing weight if we need to, we've got these healthy beauty products that are extraordinary. It's literally nutrition for our skin. We've got the green products. They were green when it was just a color. Dr. Shaklee knew we had a challenge before most people even knew what environmental issues were. That's what introduced us to Shaklee, and today we are an environmental leader in so many different ways. But I think the thing that is most significant about the opportunity that Shaklee offers is we offer the opportunity for a better life for anybody who wants to participate. And I think the flexibility is one of the most rewarding parts of it. I wanted out of corporate America. I work for a government contractor. And the reality was that not only did you have all the typical politics and bureaucracy of a large corporation, but you had another layer on top of that because we're a government contractor. It made me crazy. Even though the space program was new and exciting in the years that I participated, there was so much stuff that you had to put up with. It just made me nuts, and I wanted out. Today, we have a mobile business. If you've got a smartphone and a tablet or a laptop, you can do this business anywhere under any circumstances that you choose. And that kind of flexibility is absolutely extraordinary. But I also want you to realize that the income potential is also very, very significant. Turns out that when you look at the average incomes in Shackley, when you look at the different levels that are there, even at the director level, which is a very part-time beginning effort in Shackley. If you just share these products with 25 to 30 families, you will quite readily maintain a directorship, an extra $10,000 a year. What would another $850, $900 a month do for the typical family? But as you see how those incomes progress, it's only because you help other people achieve their dreams and achieve their goals. One of the ones I'd like you to look at is executive coordinator. The average income there, now it shows the bottom third, the middle third, and the top third, but let's just take the average, the middle one, $48,000. Do you realize that the median income in the United States is right around $49,000? That means half of all Americans who work full-time earn more than that number, and half of all Americans who work full-time earn less than that number. And at executive coordinator, this is something we have seen people do in a matter of months. But what if it took you 1 year, or 3 years, or 4 or 5 to get there? Would that make a huge difference in your life, in your lifestyle, if you could replace a significant income by doing that on a part-time basis? I think when you understand the potential and you understand the number of hours required to do this, it's not like working a full-time job, and you have the flexibility of doing it anywhere with anyone under any circumstances you want. But maybe one of the most significant things is the amazing community that not only do you participate in, but you help create and build. When Aldana and I look at our organization today, we've got an amazing number of people with extraordinary backgrounds, everything from teachers and musicians and magicians and carpenters and engineers and nurses, and the list goes on and on and on. And every one of these people have seen their lives changed in very significant ways, number one, because of the health benefits of the products, but number two, because they chose to do something with the opportunity and share it with many, many other people. It changed their lives, and they each have changed hundreds, if not thousands, of lives themselves. So I guess the question you have to ask yourself is, does it make sense for you? Knowing that you've got a stable company behind you that's been around in one form or another for 100 years, and in the form we know it today for 60 years, we paid out over $7 billion in commissions, and this company and everybody who invited you to this call and can support you upline is there for your success. And don't underrate the stability of the company. It turns out that the vast majority of companies that come into this industry fail within the first 3 to 5 years. And here you've got a company with a 60-year history operating the same way we do today. Let me give you some context for that. If you look at the Fortune 500 list from just 20 years ago, that's the 500 largest corporations in the United States. Today, less than half of those companies even exist. Not only is it hard to survive in today's economic climate, it's even harder to thrive. And here is a company that not only has survived for 60 years, not just 20, but is continuing to thrive and grow in extraordinary ways. Number one, because of the markets that we participate in with our products, but number two, because our business model is probably the most unique and advantageous for an individual of anything that's out there. And maybe the best part is it can be designed by you. You can design your business to fit around the lifestyle that you want to live instead of having to figure out how to design your life around your job or your business. To me, that was the single most important advantage of being part of Shackley, was the idea that I had the freedom to create the lifestyle that I wanted to create for Aldana and myself, for our kids, and for our grandkids. So I guess the question is, how do you see yourself fitting in? You see, there's 3 ways to participate. Use these amazing products, experience the benefits, and by the way, there's a multitude of ways that you can join and get a free membership. And unlike things like Costco and Sam's Club, you don't have to renew it if you keep using the products on a continuous basis. If you just want to share these products with a handful of people that you care about so that you can get your own products paid for, there's several options there. And if you opt to build a business, change your career, or just create an extraordinary second stream of income. So the question is now, what will your Shackley effect be? Because I want you to realize it's not just about our personal success. It's about the hundreds, if not thousands, of lives that not only we, but you can change in the process of achieving your own goals. It's an amazing opportunity. It's an amazing company. They're exceptional products that people get extraordinary benefits from, and you will have a purpose in life that I never experienced before we participated in Shackley. So with that, I thank you for your time. I thank you for being with us tonight, and I hope every single one of you will join us and become part of that Shackley effect. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.